Hello everyone, welcome back to the Gaming Droid and welcome back to Modern Skyblock 3. The audio might be a little bit off, I'm tweaking with my sound settings at the moment. So, where were we? What were we doing? Well, first off, my partner in the last stream asked for a dragon statue, and so I took a little bit of time. I borrowed someone's design, although the design wasn't in chisels and bits, it was a full-size design, and I put a little bit of effort into making my partner a purple dragon, which I think came out reasonably well. Little curly tail at the back. Nice sort of like lavender chest, and then a little purple dragon. So, other than that, in between the last episode and this episode, I've been doing a little bit of sort of prep. So we've got some electrum, we've got some invar, we've got some tin, some lead, plenty of iron, plenty of gold. So we should be ready to dive into thermal expansion, I believe it is called. I believe the one we're into is thermal machinery. Yeah, into thermal expansion. So we're going to need a lot of machine frames. We're going to need, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably at least 7, probably a lot more machine frames. So we're going to start off just making the machine frames, which is this one, the thermal expansion one, which requires tin gears. That's fine. We'll make, what, 12? 16, 17, 18, that'll do. I also cooked myself up a whole bunch of glass as well. So let's make ourselves a bunch of machine frames, because most of the stuff is based off machine frames. Now what we can do is we could upgrade these machine frames, I believe. We go through here, we could... No, we can't upgrade the machine frames anymore, so everything must be done using upgrade kits. Okay, that's fine. And now it's recommending to us that we'd build a Induction Smelter, which is a bit like an alloy smelter. A Magma Crucible, which melts down solid objects into liquids. An Energetic Infuser, which is the same as that Energizer. An Arcane Ensorcellator, uses essence to create certain enchantments. Fluid Transposer, which fills items with fluid. A Centrifugal Separator, which separates alloys. And then also a Redstone Furnace with a Pyroclastic Conversion Kit. So the Redstone Furnace is just a basic electronic furnace, very similar to the powered furnace. But the Pyroclastic Conversion Kit allows it to start producing coal coke if we so desire. And then we have items from thermal expansion. Oh, a device frame. Oh, they've split it up between two different things. So now we have devices in thermal expansion. Back in 1.7, they were the same thing. And then we have energy cells, dynamos, steam, magmatic, compression, reactant, innovation, and numinastic. There's also upgrades for these things that allow us to use gems as a power source. And the sequential fabricator is basically just a auto crafter. So I'm going to burn through a lot of these quests, and then probably on a live stream I'm going to be setting up some machinery. But let's go with the induction smelter to start with. Now these are probably all going to need a variety of different bits and pieces. So yeah, copper gears. You don't want that copper gear. You want that one. Why are we so low on... Oh, because we have different forms of copper. Yes. So we have a couple of different types of copper in the inventories at the moment. So we're going to need a few copper gears for this. That's fine. And we're going to need several of these redstone reception coils, so we'll make a few of them. We'll also need other ones, like silver ones and electrum ones, but that's fine. We'll start with 10 of those. An invar gear is very simple, invar and iron. And then 2 sand is all we're missing. There we go. And what this is it has 2 slots. One of the slots is for a reactant, and the other one is for the thing that you are smelting. So you can do things like make hardened glass. You can also smelt down things like tools into their original components. But some of the stuff we can do that we've been able to do previously is we can do invar in here if we put in tin and iron. Not tin and iron, nickel and iron. We can do invar, we can do electrum in here. So that's aluminium and copper to make aluminium brass. So you can see that we can do a lot of the alloy smelting in this thing. And if you add a pyroclastic concentrator to it, which requires blazing pyrotheum, you can then use it to get 4 4 ingots out of a single ore when combined with rich slag. So there's a few sort of unique recipes to it. But for the most part, it's alloying things, making hardened glass, cooking swords down into their original ingots, things like that. It's not terrible. We can do this cooking items down into their original ingots better with the Dawnstone Anvil. The alloying, however, is pretty good. It's a pretty good alloying machine. If we have a look at thermal expansion, the other thing you'll see is we'll see these augments, which are things we can add. And as well as the augments, we should see upgrade kits. No? Because what we need to do is this thing. You can see that we have 0 augment slots at the moment. We need to upgrade it. And to upgrade it, we need to give it an upgrade kit, which we don't have available at the moment. So that must be locked behind a future stage. Just see if we can see it under kit. We can't. So what it is, it's a little square with up arrows, and it allows us to upgrade these machines to higher levels. But apparently we don't actually have access to that at the moment. That's interesting, that it would give us this but not access to the actual upgrade kits. So the Magma Crucible melts down anything from... we need hardened glass for this, so we're going to need to set this guy up. The Magma Crucible melts down pretty much anything from redstone, glowstone, glass, all sorts of things into a liquid form. I tell you what we'll do flux ducts first. This isn't a quest, but this is just going to make things a lot easier if we make ourselves, say, 30 flux ducts, and then upgrade them all into hardened flux ducts, for which we need more redstone, which is fine, because we have plenty of redstone. Flux ducts are very redstone intensive, but that's not much of a problem. So let's go up and we'll wire up our flux ducts. I might trim this bit a little bit. Okay, so our wiring system is set up. It's a very kind of messy wiring system for now. Again, I need to do the whole strip down and rebuild things every time I get to a new tech era. But for the most part, we are all sort of sorted. We've got power flowing into all of these things. It's flowing in reasonably quickly. If we have a look at our innovator, that thing is filling up at 1,000 a tick. So 1,000 a tick isn't a bad transfer rate. It's faster than we were getting previously on our low voltage. And what we can do is we can actually upgrade these things. The hardened ones are 4,000 RF a tick, sorry. The redstone flux ones are 9,000. Those require us to make electrum and hardened glass. The signalum ones are upgrades for the electrum ones, the redstone energy flux ones, and these can do 16,000. Then we get up to resonant, which is upgrades for the signalum ones. They can do 25, and then we get up into cryo-stabilized. And cryo-stabilized requires to make gelid cryothium as well as these monstrosities. And they have a transfer rate of an infinite number of RF per tick, which is a little bit crazy. But the Magma Crucible requires us to make hardened glass. Let's have a look at the recipes of hardened glass. So we need some kind of crushed up obsidian, which apparently we can just do in the squeezer if we want, but pulverized obsidian we can make in a pulverizer, which is a machine from thermal expansion. So let's make a pulverizer, which we need a bit of flint. And we can design a pulverizer which requires a piston, not a problem. And as you can see, redstone reception coil and copper ingots, as well as the machine frame. So all very sort of familiar tools of the trade. Just put the immersive engineering stuff away for now. And then we need some obsidian to melt down in it, which we're running a little bit low on, but that's not too bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can just throw that down. We've got to unconfigure this to make sure it's not pumping in and out of anything. That's good. And then we just need something that we can use this with to make hardened glass. Now normally what we could do is we could do this, but if we have an induction smelter we can basically smelt it up with pretty much any ingot to make hardened glass. Could cupronickel, tsubushi, uranium, alumite. But I think we can probably just do it with something really, really simple, like if we go all the way around to the back. Yeah, iron dust. So we can just smelt it up with iron. And that will make it into hardened glass for us. I don't think we need quite that much iron, but I pulled it out anyway. So let's take 32 pulverized and add a little bit of iron to it. There we go, and that should make us the hardened glass we need. Yeah, not a problem. And the hardened glass we can use later on as well. It's good to have a decent supply of hardened glass coming in. So we wanted that for the Magma Crucible. And we need 2 nether brick, which we have. There we go. And the Magma Crucible, you place items in here, it melts it down into a liquid. As to what it can melt down, there's a whole array of things it can melt down. Metals, it can also melt down things like redstone and glowstone, which are required for things like the flux ducting improvements. We need liquid redstone and liquid glowstone. Liquid glowstone also allows you to improve the item ducts. We can make magma from cobblestone, which is actually quite efficient. Like that is 300,000 RF. So that's a very expensive RF-wise to make 1,000 millibuckets of magma from cobblestone. But that's actually, like, as far as, even though it's very, very expensive RF-wise, it's not terrible. I mean, some of these things take a lot more RF than 300,000. There are lots and lots of recipes we can get through for that. The energetic infuser is an empowerer that's slightly more efficient. And that requires 2 transmission coils. That's not too hard. 2 transmission coils and a lead gear. And there we go. That's the energetic infuser done, and that acts exactly the same as our energizer does. Put an item in here, it charges up with power and then goes into the output slot. It can be automated using filtered transfer pipes, using filtered item pipes, which isn't bad. The choosing enchantments, the arcane ensorcelator, I haven't really used this much before. But again, it should be reasonably simple. We do need an enchanting table and 2 lapis blocks, as well as constantan gears. Ooh, I don't know if I have any constantan. I know I've got lapis and enchantment table. Let's see if I've got the constantan I need. I do have the constantan I need. I'm surprised. 2 lapis blocks. And that allows us to make an arcane ensorcelator. This one, as far as I'm aware, is a auto enchanter that you can put a book in here and it will copy the book rather than use it up. But I think you might also be able to put other items in there to sort of trigger it to do certain recipes. So it enchants a book. So if you put a book in there and give it a rose bush, it will give you thorns, smite. Okay, so we can make books using this. It's a bookmaker. It's like the dark steel enchanter from Darkcraft. Okay. It's like the dark steel enchanter. That's... Carrot on a stick gives you lure. Interesting. I think there are better ways to get these enchantments than using this. Just enchantment farming gives us some very powerful enchantments in and of itself. So I don't think it's necessarily the most important thing in the world. Fluid transfuser is very important. It's going to allow us to make the better fluid transporter. It's going to allow us to make the better flux ducts, and we do want to upgrade to the better flux ducts pretty quickly. But you can see that all of this, once you've got copper gears and you've got the reception coils, all of the early stage machinery is really very simple indeed. It's only when you start upgrading these machineries and adding augments that you start thinking and have to start thinking about things like signalum and endurium and electrum, things like that. Separating in basic components, the centrifugal separator. Centrifugal separator, that requires 2 more copper gears, and we are out of copper over here. Do we have copper in storage? Yes, we do. Excellent. I'm glad we had copper in our storage. Let's just make a bunch more copper gears. Because as I said, like most of this is going to be all copper gear based. And there we go, there's the Centrifugal Separator. This thing is kind of, well, there you can see it straight away, it's a juicer. It also allows you to separate concrete dust into its component elements, and allows you to separate ore dust into their component elements. But for the main part, actually, this looks like it would be really good for Pam's Harvest Craft. It allows you to separate magma creams into their components. So it allows you to undo mixing of things like grits and things. It also allows you to process the bee craft honeycombs. But for the most part, it looks like the main job I would probably give it, yellow garnet dust into... Oh, that's interesting. But it allows you to juice and make mayonnaise and things very easily. That's interesting. It's interesting that it's a juicer. It's a nice little added benefit to it. That actually might be something I end up using it for. As to the Redstone Furnace is actually a slightly better furnace than the one we've got now. I think at its base level, it's actually a worse furnace. I think at a base level, this is worse than the powered furnace. But at a sort of above base level, I think it's better than the powered furnace. Do we have any clay? We have 2 dirt. That is fine. And we've got some water. So let's cook up some bricks and get the powered furnace on the go. Into you. We are using... Oh, sorry, get the redstone first. We're using the powered furnace to make its replacement. But as I said, the powered furnace might actually be the powered furnace might actually be faster early game. So we want to make the augment for it that turns it into a coke oven, which is pyroclastic converter. Redstone specialization allows the pyrolysis and creosote production. Okay, so we need copper plates. We need a redstone servo. We need nether brick, which we can do. We need an invar gear, which isn't hard. And then we need 2 copper plates, which requires our engineering hammer. And that is pyroclastic conversion kit done. Then once we get the bricks, we'll be able to set up the redstone furnace. Easy as pie. So yeah, this is just a whole big run of crafting, but it allows us to get all the basic machines down. I'm going to be making more of these machines. I'm going to be making more of these machines in the long run, because I'm going to be switching over to thermal expansion for a lot of my machinery. But for the most part, like getting these things done, this requires thermal fertilizer, which is over here. The devices. Now, the devices are things, if memory serves, these used to use normal machine frames. But the devices are basically like the actually Edition's precision droppers and things like that. So we've got things like extracting from trees, which allows us to collect fluids from trees. Sap and other vanilla trees give resin, with spruce being the fastest. Okay, so this is a fluid extractor. What's it actually called? Arboreal Extractor. Okay, some iron gears, that's not difficult. And this is where we're going to start needing redstone servos rather than the reception coils. So this guy allows us to extract fluids from trees, which is interesting. I don't really see the purpose of that yet, but we'll find out where that comes into play. And that requires us to get resin and sap. Okay, so we can now use that to gather resin and sap later on. Collecting XP, an insightful condenser. The insightful condenser collects XP in a large area in front of itself. So we did recently make the XP solidifier to do this from Actually Editions, because we're going to be setting up our mob farm again once we have a couple of better piping solutions, which we do have now. We do have a piping solution from this. We have item ducts, But I would prefer, just because I know how a good way to set up a system using them, I would prefer to use the extra utilities ones. Decorative diffuser. Decorative diffuser spreads potions in an area. Oh, decorative, not decorative. Just missing a couple of iron gears. That's not bad. And most of the devices appear to use the servos and iron gears rather than anything else. And that spreads potion effects in an area. So that... Let's actually have a look. Do we have to feed it potions? Yeah, we feed it a potion. And then it spreads the potion in an area around itself. Potion duration is reduced compared to drinking. Certain reagents will boost the effect. Okay. Interesting. So that's almost like a little mini pylon. Then we've got automatic fishing, speeding up by cooling, which requires the dusts. And then we also have energy storage and a few other things. The energy cell will act as the same thing as the capacitors. Same thing as the capacitors from Immersive Engineering. But for the most part, it's not sort of extremely exaggerated. Like it's not a necessary thing because we have the capacitors, but we can upgrade it once we get access to the upgrade kits. At the moment, it's only got 2 million RF, which is half what a high voltage capacitor can store, I believe. Yeah, half what a high voltage capacitor can store, but not bad. And I forgot to detect the energy cell frame, so that's fine. We'll just make another one. They're not expensive. I mean, the energy cells themselves aren't expensive. Let's make sure we detect it again. There we go. That's that complete. Now, as for the actual dynamos, extra utilities, which is something we're going to be getting into very soon, has a set of generators. So if we have a look at extra utilities, so if we have a look at extra utilities, there we go. Extra utilities has a set of generators in it. Although at the moment they're locked behind it, but the rainbow generator is an example. The rainbow generator is active when all the other generators are active. Basically, the generators in extra utilities include lava, ender pearl, dragon items, food, coal, all sorts of different generators that generate power from different sources, and then you can upgrade them with speed upgrades to make them run faster. The dynamos from thermal expansion, the steam dynamo runs off steam, water and solid fuel. This one requires hot fluids, that's the magmatic. The compression dynamo runs off fuel and a coolant. Fluid fuel and a solid reactant for the reactant dynamo. Extracts flux from various objects and then requires currency. So the different dynamos require different things, but from the different dynamos we can also do a variety of other things. So the augments we have, one of the augments, this one here, the augment for the lapidary calibration, this is a dynamo specialization. Allows various gemstones to be used as fuel, greatly increasing power generation and efficiency. So this allows us to use gems as fuel. And it is quite impressive. So if we have a look at this and we go to... Let's see if we can spot the dynamo up here. There we go, lapidary calibration. This is 1.2 million RF for a diamond, which is pretty good. This guy is 200,000 RF, so emeralds are worth a lot less. I wonder if we can use like the emeralds from... No, we can't use the emerald from Actually Editions. I wonder if we can use these guys. No, we can't use the silent gems either. So it would be vanilla gems like diamonds. Now, we don't have a huge amount of diamonds at the moment, but we do have a chest full of diamonds we can break down with the Dawnstone Anvil. We can also use the Magmatic Dynamo for lava power and things like that. So it's going to be interesting, but it does want us to make all the dynamos. So they shouldn't be too hard to make. We just need to make some copper gears and some silver coils. So there's the steam dynamo, which uses solid fuel and water. Then we've got the magmatic dynamo, which uses lava. And the compression dynamo, which uses solid fuel and a coolant. The reactant dynamo. Oh no, what does the compression dynamo do? So, fluid fuel and a coolant, and this uses fluid fuel and a solid reactant. Yeah, that's right. And then the innovation one, which is just a energy stripper. It strips for other energies. No. So, and we've got the final one, which is the pneumatic one. This uses currency, and you can actually use one of your machines to stamp coins. But if we have a look at the innovative one, it generates power from things like redstone. It can pull power out of dragon coils, energy cells. It can produce power for... So you can see that it can pull power from all sorts of different devices, and it basically just strips power out of them. I think it can break stuff down as well. The steam dynamo uses just solid fuel and water, and it can produce varying amounts. Like a block of charcoal will produce 160 RF. It produces it at, I think it's 80 RF per tick or something like that, but you can speed that up using augments once you have it upgraded. And you see that it burns pretty much anything that is burnable. The magmatic dynamo is, of course, lava or blazing pyrotheum. A bucket of blazing pyrotheum is 2 million RF, a bucket of lava is 120,000 RF. That's pretty efficient. The compression dynamo uses fluid fuel and coolant. The coolant can be water, but refined fuel is refined fuel, diesel, hooch, seed oil. I wonder if we can use canola oil. Refined canola oil is 200,000 RF. That might be a more efficient thing to use than our... So that was the compression dynamo. No, yeah, fluid fuel and coolant. Yeah, compression dynamo. That's this guy. So let's go over to our... And again, like, our audio's just disappeared. It's weird because our audio was there. I'm sorry if the audio is a little bit messed up, guys. So this requires two things. It requires fuel and it requires coolant. So the coolant we're going to use to start with is just going to be water, because it's cheap and easy to get hold of. And then we can use refined canola oil. And that's producing pretty quick RF, actually. It's producing 40 RF per tick. It's producing 36 RF per tick, but it would produce 40 RF per tick if it had a bucket. These guys over here produce, I believe it is 60 RF a tick. So this is slightly slower, but this thing can be upgraded significantly once we get the upgrade capacity for it. We need to get the upgrades for it, but this can be upgraded significantly. So it's less efficient than that to start with, but we can give it a whole bunch of upgrades once we are able to that make it a lot more efficient. And then we have magmatic dynamo we've looked at, the reactant dynamo, the innovating. Then we've got the new Monistic Dynamo. This requires coins made of different things. A tin silver coin is 32. A copper coin is 30. So you can see that we've got all sorts of different ways of generating RF. An emerald just by itself in a new monastic dynamo is 200,000. Oh, if we give the new monastic dynamo the lapidary calibration, we can use silent gems for roughly 200,000 apiece. Now we get a lot of silent gems. So if we can use just Any old silent gem, or is it just tanzanite? It's tanzanite, topaz, and malachite. Okay, well we get quite a few of those. So we can use a few of the silent gems to produce power. So that's not too bad. And then crafting with fluids. The sequential fabricator is simply an auto crafter. When given fluids with a fabrication augment, it will use fluids that are piped into it in recipes, allowing you to make TE alloys faster. Just need to make a crafting table and then we can make one of these. Not hard at all. And then a liquid augment is simple as pie. And that gives us a liquid crafter for any recipes that require a consistent supply of liquid. For instance, endurium dust. Endurium dust requires a constant supply of liquid to craft it. So rather than using buckets, we can use an auto crafter or something like that. Okay, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good session of just crafting things down. The phyto grow. Let's have a look if we can make any of the phyto grows. So basic phyto grow is charcoal dust, nitrate, and slag. What are we missing? Nitrate. Where do we get nitrate from? The pulverizer, pulverizing down sandstone. Okay. And what you can do is you can actually give these machines, because this is what's called a secondary output, you can actually give these machines additional upgrades that improve the amount of secondary outputs they get. I'm not sure why it says that we can add augments straight away, because it requires upgrading to get augments. So it's making us craft augments at this point, but we don't have access to any of the upgrades to give us augments. Pulverized coal, we already had, so that's not bad. We got the pulverized coal from our crusher, and that allows us to craft... it has to be pulverized charcoal. Okay. Let's put some of our machines away for now. We're going to be using some of these in the very near future. Pulverized charcoal. That allows us to craft phytogrow, which is a fertilizer, and then enriched phytogrow requires pulverized charcoal, rich slag. So rich slag we get from melting down ores and things. So if we make ourselves a bunch of, for instance, iron ore, we have a 5% chance to get rich slag. A bunch of tungsten ore would give us a 75% if we were using cinnabar. Melting down clocks gives us a 20% chance to get rich slag. Okay, okay. Let's see if we have any ore sitting waiting in our chest over here. We've got 37 gold ore. That's not bad. So, use of the gold ore in the induction smelter combined with sand gives us 20% chance of getting sand and gold ore. 20% chance of getting rich slag out of it. That's not too bad. We should get rich slag. And you can see how quickly this thing cooks. This thing, it has one and it cooks slightly faster than these do. But this has two, so this on its own is slightly better than one of these, which I think it seems to be like the standard thing. Is like one of those is slightly better, or one of those is slightly worse than one of these, just because it has two and it's a little bit slower, but it doubles up, which just makes it a little bit more efficient. And that gives us the rich phytogrow. We need the niter. My apologies. So there's 12 niter. We'll quickly nom on a pizza because we're taking damage going up and down through the floor. And we'll make ourselves some rich phytogrow. And rich phytogrow is an even better fertilizer from the pack. And then we need to energize it using the energetic infuser. So if we grab out our energetic infuser, pretty sure we can't do this in anything other than the energetic infuser. Have a look. Yeah, it's just the energetic infuser. We'll pop that there and throw you in. And I'm just going to energize the whole lot of it now that I've detected it, because it is better as fluxed phytogrow. And they can be used to enhance the growth rate of plants. And that gives us access to growing with power. The phytogenic isolator uses fertilizer and power to grow crops faster and more efficiently. This is like a cloche, but instead of just using water, it does need phytogrow. And we need lumium to make that. And lumium is lumium blend, which is tin, pulverized silver, and energized glowstone. So we're going to have to wait on that one. Other than that, we've got signalum, lumium, and enderium. Signalum is pretty simple, and it's one of the first upgrade ones. So if we have a look at signalum ingots, signalum ingots require signalum blend, which is copper, silver dust, and destabilized redstone. However, we can produce it in the smeltery by putting in destabilized redstone, silver, and copper. Destabilized redstone you get from the Magmatic Crucible. That's the only place I think you can get it from. You can get it from the Centrifugal Separator if you separate signal and blend. And you can get it from pretty much everything else if you have bottles of it. The melter from Nuclearcraft can apparently make it. But the Magma Crucible is going to be our main source of destabilized redstone. And what we can do is we can pipe this in via a faucet on the smeltery, via smeltery drain on the smeltery, and then we can make signalum in the smeltery as well as by crafting signalum blend. Other than that, lumium requires the glowstone, and again, we can make it in the smeltery, and again, we can't melt down glowstone in the smeltery, we have to melt it down in the Magmatic Crucible. And enderium is exactly the same thing. We can make it in the smeltery, but I think we can actually melt down ender pearls in the smeltery. No, you can't melt down ender pearls in the smeltery in this one. So basically everything has to be melted down via the Magmatic Crucible, the Magma Crucible. But we can mix the metals up in the smeltery if we want, rather than messing around with carrying buckets about and pulverizing metals, which isn't too bad. So all of those can get made pretty easily. They're just a combination of basic metals and liquids. The chow is... I actually don't know. I've never really used the auto fisher from thermal expansion. The chow is made up of slime and bread and sawdust, or slime bread, sawdust and netherwort, or slime bread, sawdust, netherwort and flux. Okay, so all of these things are reasonably simple and we can set up to do these things later. The fractionating still will turn liquefied coal into refined oil. Nice. So all of this can be done pretty simply later. This requires us to make some lumium. So it requires us to get through these quests. And these ones just require us to basically finish up these. So we've not gotten too bad. I think I'll do a stream of me actually setting up some thermal machinery. Next up will be kind of like a stream of me setting up thermal machinery so that we are able to use it. Setting up dynamos, setting up power production and power storage and power transportation, making more flux ducts and things like that. But in the meantime, I have been the Gaming Droid. This has been Modern Skyblock 3. We have just burnt through crafting all the quests in thermal expansion, apart from the ones that we can't quite finish yet. These ones here. Actually, yeah, I tell you what, we could probably finish those reasonably easily. Because we just need to make one set of each, don't we? So what do we need? We need silver, copper, tin. We don't need invar, so iron, copper, aluminium, silver, lead, gold, tin. Put all of our dynamos away for now. Got a little bit of space. And we have got buckets in our inventory. No, not in our inventory. In here we've got buckets. That's fine. So signalum is... signalum blend. And signalum blend is copper and silver with destabilized redstone. So 3 copper. And we need our Magma Crucible. And all of these machines can pump in and out of themselves and in and out of each other. So it's not bad at all. It's going to be a little bit slow to start with though. And 1 silver. There we go. And then we need Lumium, which is Lumium Blend, which is 3 tin and a silver. We also need our Fluid Transposer. And the Fluid Transposer goes next to this guy, and we tell him to auto input through that side. And you can see that he's now getting the destabilized redstone straight from there. And we need another silver. And then we need Endurium. And Endurium blend is 3 lead and a pulverized platinum. Ooh, I don't know if we have platinum. I don't think we have any platinum. I won't be able to do Endurium. We've got mana steel and cobalt, osmium. So what do we need to do to get platinum? Can we make it in a condenser? We can make it in a cauldron cleaner. We can get it from sluice boxing. We can get it from the pulverizer if we pulverize iridium or nickel ore. Alchemical plat. So we can make platinum alchemical dust, which is gold and 2 lapis. That's not too bad. So a gold bar, 2 lapis. That'll make us platinum dust. And we can throw that in there, and that'll make us a... very slowly. Ooh, that's slow indeed. That will make us some platinum. We need to put a bucket in here. And that will give us a bucket of redstone. And then we can make Signalum Blend, which is redstone, copper, and silver. There's our Signalum Blend. And we also need 10 glowstone. So we're going to have to melt 10 glowstone up. I believe it's 10 glowstone. One of them should melt down. Ooh, that's melting very slowly as well. Dang it. So let's have a look at Endurium again. So we need 3 pulverized lead. 1, 2, 3. That's not bad. And ender pearls, which we can do. So Signalum Blend has to be cooked up in the... has to be cooked up in the Redstone Furnace. So I did make a Redstone Furnace. Where is it? There it is. In you go. Oh no, you have to be cooked up in the Induction Smelter, don't you? That's right. Have to be cooked up in the Induction Smelter with sand. Like so. 4, 5. Detect, and that's the Signalum one done. Oh no, we just need... oops, I shouldn't have done that. We just need 4 glowstone, and that will allow us to fill a bucket with glowstone dust. I don't have a crafting table up here. I might have a crafting table 1 floor up though. Yeah, I have a crafting table 1 floor up, that's fine. And that requires energized glowstone, tin, and silver. That gives us Lumium Blend, which we can cook up in here just the same. Normal slag doesn't have a massive amount of use, really. Now I'm wondering, can I just pulverize you straight off? I can pulverize you straight off. Excellent. There's my pulverized platinum. I then just need 4 ender pearls because it's 250 millibuckets per ender pearl. Which we can throw into here. Now, Resident Ender actually has an interesting effect of teleporting any item that's thrown into it in a random direction, and also teleporting players that step into it in a random direction. So it actually makes in a multiplayer server a very interesting base defense to have like liquid Resident Ender that you can deploy and force people to teleport away from your base in random directions. Now, of course, they can also teleport into your base, which is one of the side effects, or one of the sort of negative possibilities. But for the most part, it's actually quite interesting and quite fun to just have them teleport around and not be able to control where they're going. There we go. There's a bucket of Resonant Ender all cooked up. And we can go Resonant Ender, Platinum, 3 lead, and that gives us Enderium. And Enderium can get cooked up with sand. And there we go. We get Enderium ingots. And all of these things can be used for making Tinker's tool parts. We can also use them for making plates and rods and grind them into dust and all sorts of things. Print them into coins, make them into gears. But the other thing they're used for is upgrading these machines. Now, we don't have access to the upgrade kits yet, but when we get access to the upgrade kits, it will be very, very useful to just upgrade these things. Now, apparently, we can also use soul sand, hardened coal, tungsten, endurium, and refined obsidian to make, I believe that's dark matter. So that's going to be interesting in the long run. But yes, thank you all for watching. I have been the Gaming Droid. This has been Modern Skyblock 3, and I will see you all in another episode. Bye-zy-bye, everybody.